Hi, this is George with G&L Collectibles. Here today to share a little history on the drive-in theaters with you. I hope you find it enjoyable. The drive-in theaters were patented back in 1932 by a gentleman named Richard Hollingshed out of Camden, New Jersey. Richard started by putting up a sheet between a couple trees in his backyard, putting a 1928 Kodak projector on the hood of his car, and putting a radio behind the screen. Between playing with that, trying to position cars with blocks and ramps, he soon figured out how to actually set a theater up with an unobstructed view, and filed for a patent and received that patent on May 16, 1933. Hollingshed opened up his first drive-in theater in New Jersey June 6, 1933. It offered a 400 slot theater and a 40 by 50 screen. He advertised the drive-in with the slogan, "The whole family's welcome, no matter how noisy the kids are." So, quite the takeoff. Now, one of the biggest issues drive-in theaters had to deal with in their infancy was the noise pollution. The original theaters, the sound equipment was positioned in the projection tower, and depending on the day, you could definitely hear the movie blocks and blocks away, which back then most people went to bed once the sun went down, so wasn't real popular starting off. But with a few tweaks here and there, a gentleman in 1935 at the Pico Drive-In came up with the idea of putting a row of speakers across the front of the screen, which helped. But if you were in the front row, extremely loud. The back row, well, you probably weren't watching the movie anywhere, but you tried to get there early so you get a nice little spot in the center rows. Wasn't until 1941 when RCA introduced the in-car speaker with its own volume control. Now this really changed the industry forever, and the drive-in became what we know it today. So we got to thank RCA for that, and RCA truly was probably one of the most prolific equipment providers for the drive-in theater industry. Probably most of us know the RCA junction boxes and speakers, probably the most common of any out there. But did you know, by the end of the 1950s into the early 60s, there were over 4,000 different theaters, drive-in theaters across the country? Not to mention over 400 manufacturers of drive-in equipment. From playground equipment, sound equipment, projection equipment, the concessions, it really was quite the industry back then. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little tidbit. I'll be back with more about the drive-in theater industry and, in a different video. But just to let you know, I'll be out and about in the month of March this year. I'll be at the Good Guys Spring Nationals in Scottsdale, March 13th through 15th. I'll be over at the Spring Nationals in Fort Worth at the Texas Motor Speedway, 20th through 22nd. And then wrapping up the month over in Grand Prairie at the DFW Swamp Meet, 27th through 28th. Hey, and look for me down in Houston in April. I'll see you soon.